Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Totally Oblivious. I'm your host. I'm Caleb Perez. I'm here with Alex again.
How did that sound so wrong, but yet so right at the same time?
And for those of you first-time watchers, that's exactly what you'll expect from Alex.
I had a brain fart, but you messed up the intro, but it still sounded correctly.
It's not messed up. It's just
You rearranged the words.
It's just a different cadence to it.
I guess.
Not every intro has to be the same.
That is true.
Silly.
Silly goose.
Silly. You little silly goose.
More like a duck, I honestly.
I don't know. Those geese that we saw at, I don't remember what it's called. Fourth Nordy.
Fourth Nordy?
Yeah.
Oh!
The geese that we saw there, those look just like you. That big old... there's just a bunch of little tiny geese, and then there's just a big Alex goose just standing there just like...
menacingly.
I'm here.
Well, on another note, I got your knife finally, but it's sitting on my counter. I'll bring it into the next episode.
Where it belongs. It's sitting.
It's sitting on my counter. I got it. I left it there, and I just totally forgot this morning because I had to ask Andrew
You know what?
what he was doing.
That happens.
So, I actually showed up the day before.
It's no longer okay. You had a full 24 hours. No. Yeah. I get it. I forget stuff too.
It's okay to be forgetful sometimes. Not all the time. I thought those were totally off screen. I thought those were cookies. And that tin, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the
What are those?
cat milk?
Is cat milk?
Yeah.
Or is this did they actually make cat milk?
Yeah.
Is it powdered?
Yeah, it's powdered.
Okay. That was totally fucking random. Like, why do you have fucking straw cookies here? What do you even really call those?
I don't know what they're called.
Do you call them straw cookies?
I always called them just fancy cookies. But I think straw
Are
cookies
they really fancy when they're like that? They look fancy, but I don't think they're fancy.
I don't know. Maybe it's like pseudo fancy, where they could be fancy, but like if you're trying to be cheap fancy.
A little bit.
Like if you buy a plastic wine glass, it's like fancy, but like to somebody viewing it's fancy, but like in actuality it's cheap.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Because I would even say like a glass cup would be better than a plastic wine thing.
Oh yeah, but plastic's cheaper.
That's so plastic is bad.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. So terrible.
Terrible for the environment.
Sometimes you just can't afford to bring out your fine china to a dinner party.
Real.
Because you can't trust your guests. You can't trust
You
that
know
they'll
what? You know
respect
what?
your stuff.
Hold on. You got a good point here going. I hate how I have to be courteous to guests. Fuck you. I don't give a shit. You're gonna be like the whole idea like when it comes to parties like like the guests you need to be prop. No, fuck you. I don't care.
My house.
This is my house, you son of a bitch. Fuck you. Why? I get I'll be nice, but I ain't gonna be courteous. Because usually 9 times out of 10 it's just like Caleb, like a friend.
Me.
I don't give a fuck.
True. He just says, "Welcome to my home. The pantry is also yours. Take what you want." And I say, "All right, sounds good to me."
And that's just how it goes.
And that we started an entire culture among our friend group by doing that.
You just open the fucking fridge.
You do.
Like we all did it. It just became normal.
It's become so normal that when we make new friends, the first thing we do is go,
We indoctrinate them into the
fridge.
That's what I did with my girlfriend. The first thing, first frame, shoes off. That's the first frame. Second frame, I Akuma dash forward into their fridge. The Killing Moon starts playing, SpongeBob even, and it's just like I open their fridge and then I immediately judge. It was not a very good fridge. They had 3 gallons of milk. Don't ask me why. I don't know either.
Has a lot of milk.
That's a lot of milk. But I'm like, what the fuck? But I never questioned it. But yeah, it was really odd. I do that to everybody. I've done that to Peter. I've done that to Caleb. I've done that to Grayson. I've done it to my relatives multiple times, just checking consistently. I'm like,
Yeah.
Nope, it's about 5 minutes ago. It's still the same.
What's funny though is like 9 times out of 10 though, I'm immediately invited into somebody's fridge, so I don't usually have to make the first move.
Yeah, no, I always do. Never let anybody make the first move for you. Unless it's calculated.
They usually don't. They typically get more mad at you for invading the fridge.
I'm like, I know I am. But what are you gonna do against the 250-pound man and the will of the
listen. What you gotta do, you gotta play coy to get into the fridge. You gotta be like, oh yeah, I'm just a polite guest, and then they're like,
get any bottled water?
And then they're like, hey, you can have anything you want from the fridge. And I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't. And they're like, oh, I insist. And I'm like, well, if you insist.
That's such a, like, almost in a weird way. Because I've been on like a historical trend for the past like 3 days. I don't know why. I've been falling asleep to history videos, but like almost in a weird sense, it's like you're the proper politician in like Roman court. Yes, we should do this, Marcus Aurelius. Yeah, yes, we should like try to find like an alternative way. The other side of the room, fuck it, just stab him,
kill him,
just get rid of the barbarians. I don't give a fuck what you do. Just get rid of it. Like that's how we are. Like there's straightforward people and there's people that try to get around the problem.
Look, we both get the same result. It's just people get less mad at me.
Exactly. And I don't view that it's a problem.
It is. You're making a terrible first impression.
First impressions don't matter.
They do.
As long as the next 200 are better.
I mean, I guess that's true, but also at the same time, if you're not as frequent of a visitor,
yeah, I was going to say that.
Then the first impression is going to mean a lot.
Yes, I only invade the privacy of people's fridges,
especially
when they don't know when I'm around, and or it's people I know.
Yeah, true. Very interesting.
What is Bulby doing outside?
Moving dog tay.
Dog tay? I was wondering where the little fat bastard was. Old fat bastard.
He's an a-hole.
He's not an a-hole.
He's an a-hole. He tried to eat the cat.
I would eat the cat too if I was hungry. It's at least 50 grams of protein right there. I want to eat a cat.
What is wrong with you?
I wonder how it tastes.
Genuinely pelican energy.
Pelican? Like that one video that they're poking the pelican and just
Pelicans will literally eat anything.
They're like pigs?
They look at something and they go, if that fits in my mouth, I'm eating it.
I'm eating it. A steel pipe.
Oh,
metal.
Yeah, they're stupid. Gluttons.
Yes, they are.
Do you want to be a stupid glutton?
I'm just curious how a cat tastes.
Fool. Wrong answer.
I'd also taste a dog if the opportunity ever arose itself.
Wrong answer again.
And a horse.
That's more fun.
See, some people would actually go horse then dog.
This is like that that vegan poster that like, where do you draw the line? Oh, about right here.
Yeah, right here.
That poster makes me laugh every time. It literally is. Where do you draw the line? Yeah, I do draw the line like right here. I can tell you exactly where I draw the line.
It's like a morality thing. Like somebody, like I also saw like another version of that where it's all like, depending on the survival situation, like here, like if I'm at my absolute lowest, when I'm like living a good life, right around here with the dogs. At my best life, right here with the cows. Yeah, the farm animals.
Keep the farm animals in. But I mean, worst comes to worst.
I need all of them.
Anything's fair game.
You think you need a dog in a post-apocalyptic scenario? I've been watching a lot of Fallout too. That's why this whole like, would I eat dog meat?
Honestly, I wouldn't want to, but I mean, if it was the absolute last resort,
I gotta talk to your grandma, man.
And it was like that was what was already cooked and offered on a plate. I don't think if I'm starving, I don't think I can turn that down because like at that point, what else am I gonna eat?
What if like hypothetically in this scenario, it's like prepared well, like it's like that doesn't look that half bad.
I mean, it's still in the
like it's apocalyptic scenario, white plate, it's all clean.
That just makes it better because I'm already starving, so I'm just getting a better experience.
You know what is so weird about that? That's a quest in New Vegas.
To eat a dog?
to eat people, but it's
Oh.
like, but it's like the presentation's still there.
Humies.
Yeah.
Humies fast food chain.
No, what the fuck is that?
3D printed human meat.
Lore. Podcast lore.
Podcast lore.
No, but
Trademarked.
I actually
totally
never
lived
did
this.
that side quest when I played New Vegas. I skipped over a lot of shit in New Vegas. I have to play it again. I technically never even beat all the DLCs. I had this hard on for it for a while, and then I just never did.
Have you ever eaten frogs?
You know what? Low key, I do want to try some.
I do too, because I heard frog is actually delicious.
Okay, the real question is, what kind of frog?
I mean, does it matter as long as it's like a meaty breed of frog?
I would say yes, it would, because even people are specific about their cows. So I would say like it would maybe kind of apply to amphibians.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're gonna take I don't think you're gonna take a rainforest tree frog and try to eat that, because that doesn't have meat on its bones.
Hold on. If prepared correctly, I would risk it.
Well, I mean, it's not whether or not it's prepared correctly. It's the fact that it really doesn't have that much to offer you in terms of like actual edible
Flavor?
substance.
Ah, okay, there you go.
Because have you seen them? They're like super skinny.
You know what? Now that you say it to me, it's always weird how they zoom in and they kind of like disproportionalizes your view of them. It's like, I totally use that in the wrong sentence or wrong way. It's like, that's a pretty big frog. No, they're like as big as
Tiny.
your thumb.
They're tiny little things.
Yeah, it's like,
But no, like
it's like that kills
I
an
mean
elephant.
more like the American frogs, where they're like those guys get huge.
Oh, they're big
and
as your fist.
Yeah,
I'd fuck one of those up.
because those I've heard are very delicious.
I'd definitely fuck one of those up.
Be like those crazy Southern guys on Princess and the Frog. We're gonna have some frog legs tonight.
Yeah, partner.
Yeah.
No, I would. You know what's weird too? Like, I guess back to like what we were doing a while ago with the food combinations. Like, I'm introduced to the religion of salmon bagels.
Salmon bagels is delicious.
They are like, what kind of crazy food? Like, do you think people would like fuck around with like bagels and like frog legs,
I'm sure they already have.
or like tacos and frog legs? I feel like that would be like maybe.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that already exists too.
Probably.
Most of the people that I know that eat frog legs are Hispanic, so
Damn. I'm out the fucking loop.
I don't know. I think it's just it all comes down to just using the resources that are around you, or being bored
Hold
enough
on.
to go.
Hold
You know
on.
what? I'll eat that.
I got a mad question to ask that you might have to Google for us.
Okay.
What the fuck do Eskimos eat?
Eskimos?
Yeah, like in specific Canadian natives. What the fuck do they eat?
Yeah, you can't use the term Eskimo anymore, Alex.
Can I not actually?
I think they do take offense to that.
Apparently, I don't know what
I think it's
Canadian
mostly-
native Canadians.
I don't think they have really any sort of difference between what other native peoples would eat. It's like fish and
Well, I mean, like when they're like in the Arctic Circle, like that like point of region, like what do you even eat up there? Because then that just gets me thinking. It's like, do you just mainly eat like seal or something, or is it like, or do you try to go find like Arctic foxes and stuff?
that's okay.
I don't know. This is just a general thought experiment. Like
What was the typical diet in the 1940s? Nah, well,
probably a lot of racism. That was funny. But
no, not that funny.
you laughed at it.
I laughed because it was just
Random and sporadic.
nonsensical. Diet of Arctic
Circle people.
Native American people.
I'm
They would eat fish, seals, walruses, whales, caribou, polar bears, and birds. So I think that's
that sounds so fatty.
and consumed also plant foods like berries and seaweed in the spring and summer. So yeah, it's basically exactly what I expect. It's mostly just you get the meat when you can, and you also have like
Vegetables.
the fruits and vegetables. Honestly,
Mostly fruits. I don't think vegetables.
I remember.
there.
I guess it depends. Well, it's springtime. They're all
Yeah, that's what I would say. Like maybe every other part.
Well, I don't know. I remember learning about like Native American cultures back in like elementary school and being like, so they really just got fish and fruit and whatever veggies they could, and that's what they ate.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds so much cleaner and healthier than what we do.
It does.
Like, why did we ever stray away from that?
Religion and capitalism.
Is like, that sounds, but even then, most religions go on like Lent and stuff where they don't eat like pork or beef.
Yeah.
And it's like, if your diet's already consisting of fish, then why don't we eat more fish?
Because do you want the actual answer to that or the funny?
Why don't, you can give both, I guess.
The actual answer is just some people just don't like fish.
That's true.
Like
That's true.
It's I don't know. This is a weird, like, not a hypothesis, but like thought. I think this is what I want to say. Like, some people just don't like the concept of eating out of the ocean.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I do know a lot of people who are immediately turned. What's funny too is those people are immediately turned off by the thought of eating something from the ocean if it has like a fishy smell or anything.
Yeah, it's
but
like
the moment they try it, they will end up liking it.
That's what happened to my girlfriend. Like, her stepdad was like, just try this fish. The rest of her family, no. God forbid there be a fish in the house. She eats it. She's like, hey, yo, this is pretty fire, man.
This is delicious.
Because I've also introduced her to like not eating her fucking steak well done. So it's just like, see how much better it is when you like actually try to taste it.
It's just like people just don't try different foods. I feel like they're scared.
And I've only been recently doing that because I used to have a palate of a 5-year-old, but then I realized, and then I had my girlfriend. This is a funny story.
Sometimes I still feel like you have a palate of a 5-year-old.
I do. Only when she's not around. When she's around, I eat everything because I don't want to look like a bitch. In that action, I've grown more favorable for many foods.
Oh yeah.
Only in certain scenarios though. Like earlier, I'm like, just an avocado.
Avocado's delicious.
I know, but I only will have it with sushi. And also, that's another thing. Sushi. I've recently just I just tried sushi.
I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, I've always loved seafood. Wow. Like over at Dairy Queen, instead of going for like a chicken strip basket, I'd ask for the shrimp basket because I just loved the taste of seafood.
Wait, you order not chicken strips at Dairy Queen?
Yeah,
that's nuts.
The shrimp basket's good.
Is it actually?
It's really good. The popcorn shrimp is delicious.
Next time I go to Dairy Queen, I'll try it. But like, it's so weird how some people just don't. And I don't know. I'm not one to judge, but like even I don't even eat like crazy amounts of food like that anymore. So I won't lie, I am American. I do indulge myself in probably a lot more fast food than I probably realistically should.
Yeah.
But like when I go to Sumos or something and I order sushi, a part of all of my body smiles. It goes like, this is some fucking bitchin' food.
Because it's like, it hits all the boxes for me. I like my food to be light and refreshing and flavorful. And that sushi checks every single one of those boxes. So like literally, like, because I don't know, for some reason during the summer, I can't eat that much. But like during fall and winter and spring, I will literally be able to eat like 2 whole rolls of sushi. Fine.
I could probably fuck up a whole, like I'll split it with my girlfriend, and like Nat will be like, she'll eat like 4 pieces, I'll eat 4 pieces, but then like there's a part of me that goes, I could have fucked up that whole roll by myself.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm like,
it's just
food.
It's so good.
Wow. But what's another one I've been like, yeah, what is it Yoba? Is that how they pronounce it? In like that's just their noodles in Japan.
I think it's like yakisoba.
Yeah, there you go, yakisoba. I tried that too. I'm like, arguably I like the fried rice more, but I'm like, fuck, this fucks.
Gosh, I
also, this not to interrupt. I also tried dumplings for the first time a while back.
Dumplings are delicious,
and I was like, these are pretty okay, man.
Yeah, they're good.
And then I tried some I don't think they were Chinese noodles because I eventually asked my homie, my editor, Curious. He's one of my more favorite editors to work with, and he had also he listens to the podcast, by the way, and he told me like noodles aren't really specifically Chinese. That's what I've That's what he told me, if I remember correctly. So it's just like, so what the fuck was I eating at this Chinese restaurant then? What is this? This is weird.
I don't know. But man, I don't know. I just remember the first time having Japanese ramen, like traditional, not like the packets that you get from the store. Like the actual ramen that they make is so flavorful and delicious. Like typically when I get a large serving, like they usually serve the ramen in, I'm not able to finish. But every time with that ramen, I finished that whole
Where have you
bowl.
gotten your ramen? Like I tried ramen too while I was in Seattle. I don't know if I'm a fan of the broth. Sometimes I think maybe it depends on the bowl.
What kind of broth do you remember getting?
I don't fucking remember what it was, but I was like, I tried Nat's bowl because she was in front of me. Like, nah, your bowl fucks way more than mine.
Because there is different broths. Because our ramen place in town, love eating there. I'll eat there anytime I have excess money. I think what I was trying to get at is that new ramen place in town. I really like it. Has a lot of different types of ramen, but I did learn, like you're saying, the broths do make a huge difference. Because there's this soy sauce broth. It had everything else that I liked in it, but the soy sauce broth was too salty, and therefore it kind of made it not my favorite one. But they have another one that's a little more expensive that has pork broth in it. Now that one is my favorite one. The pork broth makes a huge difference.
I think when I tried mine, I think mine was like, where even is it?
What do you mean?
The ramen place.
It's by GameStop.
I will go there later today then.
It's delicious.
What time do they close?
8 o'clock.
I'm gonna go there for dinner. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I think I might have tried like a chicken broth or something, and I was just like, almost in a weird sense, I was like, it has no flavor.
Chicken broth does have problems with flavor sometimes. Yeah. I think that's why at our ramen place, the broth that has chicken in it is a mixture of chicken and beef. Because chicken's a very light flavor that you need a lot of you need to add a lot more salt to a chicken broth. Oh yeah. And I'm sure that place probably didn't because you don't typically add a bunch of salt to ramen. You just use the natural flavors. But no, if you're going today, I'll suggest the Oishi ramen. It comes with everything: a little slab of pork broth, the usual vegetables, and a little marinated egg.
Do they have an egg?
Yes,
it's the egg that fucks every time.
Oh my gosh, those eggs are like, I'd literally murder someone for one of those eggs.
The eggs fuck, man. Oh. Here's another thing. So this is just a food episode.
Yeah, this is the food episode.
So here's another thing that I've recently discovered. Egg with burgers.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about this.
I have been introduced to a new lord, the egg burger. It is so fucking good for no fucking reason. Yeah. There are points in my life. Recently, actually, yesterday, I was making a thumbnail, and I was like, "Man, this looks good, but I feel like I could do better." So I sent it over to one of my YouTuber friends, and he edits it, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." He just removed all the textured layer to the person's face and stuff. I'm like, okay, but he still leaves it into the background. That's fine. And then he did some stuff where sometimes there's dots with my characters. You see it in the shadows, because I do a linear burn layer. I'm like, wait a minute, I can do something better. So with all the shadows, the shadow on the character's face, I just put dots with my drawing kit, and I send it back to him like, there you fucking go. I'm like, oh, just slightly shading the character a different way really made a difference. An extremely basic idea, takes a little bit more effort, but it wasn't too crazy. I'm like, this works. Because I was already technically doing that. Sometimes I'll fuck around with characters' eyes and hairs and turn up the saturation and shit. I'm like, that works. So it kind of comes back into this burger idea of just adding a fucking egg. Nothing else. No salt, no pepper. Just a literal over easy egg to a burger, and it just
changes it.
Beautiful.
I
love it.
I have not had an egg burger yet. I think mainly just because typically if I go to a new restaurant, like I always say, I'll try like their specialty or the number one, which typically the egg burger's not either of those. But like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot more flavors that I'd rather have than the egg burger.
Like what?
I don't know. The sauteed mushroom burger or like a firehouse burger or something.
I'd fuck with some mushrooms. I put mushrooms with the egg.
I think mushrooms is just on its own
I have a
underrated flavor.
I have a controversial opinion. I know you might disagree with me on this. Maybe, I don't know. Can we stop putting bacon in burgers? I like, don't get me wrong, I get it. But at one point, do I really need bacon in a burger?
No, not really. Not really. I think
at one point, like you can add it, but if you had too much bacon, I think it genuinely ruins it.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Here's my take on that is I think bacon and pickle are something that are interchangeable. Because when I'm eating like a sandwich or a burger,
I like how you said sandwich.
Typically, I'm like if I just have like a plain burger with no like or sandwich with no pickle or anything, if it doesn't have that crunchy texture to it, or like crunchy and like kind of zesty flavor, I get bored eating it. I can't. I don't want to finish that sandwich or burger because I just get bored halfway through.
Do you get you're like you're like a bear? Oh, you're not moving anymore while I eat you. This is boring.
It does though. You get what I'm saying though, right? Where you're eating something and like the flavor just gets too bland while you're eating, and you're just like, it's not as like satisfying with every bite.
Whereas, I maybe experienced that maybe like an actual handful of times, but I don't think I've really like. Maybe just because I'm just a fucking black hole sometimes, and I'm like Majin Buu. I just absorb everything. You
just absorb food without even a second thought.
Oh yeah, so it's just like sometimes I don't get that, but if I'm genuinely maybe it was that one time with the ramen while I was eating it, like I slowly was like, man, this ain't really that hit, and the broth ain't fucking with me. Kind of maybe that's one of the examples, but I was just like, I get what you say. It's just like, but I think maybe it depends on everybody because maybe it's like, not that it's zesty. Like I can finish food if it doesn't have a right flavor, but like if that flavor is off, maybe it's just satisfying. I don't know. Like I feel like I'm still different from you in that the whole sense. Like if it's not missing a flavor, but if it just overall feels just, I don't know. I want to say the color gray. If it tastes like the color gray, I'm just like, man.
Because like, I think the biggest example of this is like when you go to like a deli and they have like the pre-made sandwiches. And if you get one of those and just put mayo and mustard on it, it's not going to be as satisfying as if you put like pickles and other toppings on it. Because at some point it's just like if the only thing that's adding zest is the mustard, then it's not as good of an experience. And sometimes they don't even have the mustard, so you're just left with mayo, and it's just like, it just tastes bland. I'm not enjoying this food because it's like I'm only eating this for sustenance. I'm not enjoying.
I'm eating this out of survival, not because I want to taste or experience something new.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, then another thing, I tried calamari on accident the other day.
Delicious.
I was like, yeah, this fucks.
I love squid.
I never tried like squid itself, but I've tried calamari. Like I genuinely, I do want to like, one day I'll cook a squid. That's on my bucket list.
I think honestly, the only seafood I don't like is oysters.
Oysters are mid. They're hit or miss.
Like I think it's how you prepare them too, because most of the time when oysters are prepared, like. In my family, they always cook it on the grill, and it never comes out like, it always comes out just like slimy and like slimy and not satisfying, unlike most things that I like to eat. But like, I don't know, it's just because clam chowder, good. I like clam chowder. Fried clams, good. I imagine fried oysters, probably the same thing, pretty good.
Can you even fry an oyster?
If you can fry a clam, you can probably fry an oyster.
do you fry a clam?
Batter it and fry it.
Like with the shell on?
No, why would you keep the shell on? You don't eat the shell.
With oysters, you have to keep the shell. That's why I'm saying that.
Typically, it's just how you prepare it, though.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to keep the shell. You only have to keep the shell if you're cooking it to be eaten from the shell.
We must research this more further.
We need more research.
We will grill.
Can you fry oysters?
Now, I've never heard of anybody actually frying an oyster. Maybe. I don't know.
Can you fry oysters in an air fryer?
Hold on. The Americans are not cooking.
Oh, yeah. Deep fried oysters. Like I said.
Let me see.
Right here. Recipe.
Wow. I kind of do want to try that.
Because I feel like that's the superior way to eat oysters.
You know what is another thing I want to try again? Or just eat again? Crab legs.
Oh,
the
my
proper
gosh.
way, where it's that one American fat guy that tells you how to eat an oyster. Like ever since I've seen that video, I've never been able to eat the leg. It's never been in front of me. I just want to crack it and just. Like I just want to I just want to.
That's why I love a good seafood broil. You get the crab legs, you get the shrimp, you get potatoes and just everything.
Corn on the cob.
Oh my gosh, it's all so good.
Oh,
it's delicious.
I was definitely like a seaman in a previous life. There's no way I wasn't.
Who knows, man? But that stuff is so good.
I was a seaman.
And anybody who doesn't like eating seafood, you're only denying yourself.
You know what's crazy?
Experience.
You know what? Here's another wild take. The people that say they don't like seafood, you look at what they eat, and it's like, you don't eat anything.
No, yeah.
Like if you are a seafood enjoyer, you are an enjoyer of food.
Oh yeah.
I realize that.
You can expand your palate a lot more.
Here's a question. Do you agree with the take that like some seafoods are just like the insects of the sea?
Oh yeah, for sure. Shrimp is 100% just a bug. And that's why
A sea bug.
And that's why I'm like, why don't we eat bugs more often? I feel like same thing, right?
I would fuck up a cicada.
Like,
the problem is I don't want it to be slimy. Or like there's a problem with me with the texture of wet.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
I think because this is why I want to try crickets, because they say that it's just crispy and crunchy, and like you can almost not tell that you're eating a cricket. Like they make cricket chips, and you basically could not distingush that from a normal chip.
Imagine putting your hand in a bag of crickets and you're like, oh, I think it's moving. Oh no, never mind.
No, it's just fine. But yeah, I don't know. Timon and Pumbaa were definitely onto something.
Slimy. That's one texture I'll never fuck with.
I don't know.
That's why I don't like oysters.
I don't know about the grubs, but definitely like locusts and grasshoppers and crickets. That seems like a very untapped thing, especially with like the famines that happen with the locust infestations. It's like, I feel like eating them kind of solves that problem, because if they're eating your food, you just eat them, and
if you just get Americans to love them, you'll fuck up those locusts in weeks.
It's true. Make it a trend.
Make it a trend. They'll be gone.
Make it a TikTok challenge. How many locusts can you eat in one swarm? And then you got all the middle schoolers going out into the fields eating locusts as fast as they can,
and they'll be gone.
And there's no more. There's no more locusts.
You'll Thanos them.
You will. You would.
Infinity Gauntlet? Nah. TikTok challenge.
TikTok challenge.
Another thing I want to try again. We're going back to the land. Mm-hmm. Actually, no. We're going back to the water. I want to try whale. I want to try dolphin. I want to try shark.
Whale's definitely a very fatty meat.
I want to know.
But I imagine. I mean, shark fin soup. If that's a delicacy, then I'm sure.
No, I don't want to try shark fin. I just want to try shark.
I think that's about the same thing.
Is it?
I mean, if you're eating a shark, you're probably also eating the fin.
Well, I want
no matter what, you're killing a shark. The problem with shark fin soup is that it's unethical. Yeah, but I mean, if you ethically kill a shark,
yeah, I'd eat the whole thing.
Yeah,
I want what shark steak. That's technically what it is. like, and maybe even dolphin steak,
shark fillet.
Fuck, man, I don't like. It's just I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Like, what would it taste like? Shockingly, I actually have a sneaking suspicion that it actually probably tastes like ass.
It might, yeah, because they only eat meat, so usually carnivores are not going to have very high quality meat.
Yeah,
but like, here's something that I learned. Bison or buffalo have superior meat, far superior than cow meat.
Yeah, why do you think they almost went extinct?
Because like, I found a ground bison meat at the store. I was like, what if we tried this instead of ground beef? And after eating that, I was like, this is so much better. This is so delicious. And it's like lighter too. It's like a lighter meat than cow meat. Mm-hmm. So I think there's just a lot of untapped potential when it comes to the food world. There's so much food out there.
Do you think as Americans we've been gaslit into not trying things?
100%. I think 100% it has to do with just being an American, because I feel like other countries typically will just eat anything.
I want to eat a bison.
Because like there's so much cuisine out there, especially when it comes to it's always seafood that people have a problem with. Always comes down to that. And I think maybe some other foods, but like when it comes to stuff like eating like a liver or like brain, I can definitely see that.
Oh, but brain tastes so good.
I can see that because it just makes personally, that makes me a little uncomfortable because I don't really want to eat a brain.
Yeah, eating an eyeball?
No.
I have.
Wouldn't want to do that.
It's not as good as the brain, shockingly.
I actually not shocked.
Yeah.
I'm
The brain's just really, it's kind of fatty.
Yeah.
I had it was a sheep's brain. Sheep or goat? Goat or sheep? I think it was sheep. Yeah, I take it back. Sheep brain. Mm-hmm. I was like, huh. This is slightly better than I actually thought it was.
I think the problem for me is 100% would be the texture with that, because that's going to have a very distinct texture. And they say it's like rice, kind of.
What, brain?
Yeah. Like when
I ate it forever ago, I probably need to eat it again. It didn't taste like rice to me.
Well, no, not taste.
Oh.
But like texture wise.
The wrinkles. I don't think it was. It was smooth. Like,
interesting.
Like without when you like try to like you got like a wrinkle part, but other than that, like it was fairly smooth to me.
This is a little off topic, but have you ever seen the picture of a koala brain? Literally. Oh my gosh, just pull it up real quick.
Hold on.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. There's nothing that brings me more joy.
Koala brain. the second image is smooth. What is this?
Let me see it.
Where's
literally just a chicken fillet?
Where's the thoughts?
There is none.
What the fuck?
Literally, they have a chicken fillet for a brain. 2 chicken fillets for a brain. Just smooth. It's the most funny thing in the world.
Where's the texture?
There is none. They don't think. They're stupid. Smooth brain.
Where are the wrinkles, man? No thoughts.
You won't find them.
Head empty.
Whoa. Evolved specifically to eat the least edible plant.
Fucking weird little guys.
So funny though. You just started talking about brains and.
Would you eat a koala?
No, because they're full of diseases.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, they are literally.
Would you eat a kangaroo? I would.
Yeah, they're just Australian deer.
Are they actually?
Yeah, basically.
Huh. I'd fuck up one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I'm getting hungry again.
Me too. Man, I haven't been to an all-you-can-eat buffet in so long. Have you?
It's been a while.
Been COVID.
Even before then, it's been like,
yeah.
like 6 years, 7 years, something like
Sounds
that.
about right, yeah.
It's like, and you know what? We probably shouldn't be going to those.
Maybe, yeah.
I just thought about the best idea ever. Macaroni and cheese, right? Instead of yellow, it's white. But it's filled with bacon. A little bit of bacon, not a lot of bacon. Crab meat and like calamari.
So you're just combining a bunch of different already existing macaronis.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's
definitely bacon macaroni's already good. I know crab macaroni's already a delicacy. There's a place in New York that sells like a macaroni dish that's cooked inside of a lobster. And it's like, I think $500 for that dish. But
the fuck?
But it's for like a whole group. So you're buying a lobster stuffed with macaroni and lobster. And that just sounds delicious.
Sounds over $500.
Well, it's also at like a super fancy schmancy restaurant, so they're gonna overprice their stuff.
You can teach an old grandma that and have it better.
Oh no, that's 100% for sure. And that's why I was about to go off of what you were saying with not going to buffets. A potluck, a lot better.
I don't think I've ever been to an actual like potluck though.
You should. We need to find one.
randomly make a podcast episode outside of a potluck.
We need
yes, old lady, you talk.
We need to invite ourselves to a potluck. Just be like,
and don't bring any food.
We bring like we're that one guy who brings like
crackers,
and we're like, oh yeah, here's our contribution, and we'll take some of this and some of this, and some of this. And I'll come back for seconds.
Ooh, I'll try that later.
And that's why I love Thanksgiving.
Not my favorite holiday, but it does fuck.
It's just a food holiday. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong.
All holidays are food holidays.
But that's specifically only food. You're only thinking about food on that holiday.
Real.
You just keep eating all day.
I was thinking about something earlier, and it left me.
Fool.
How she took the kids.
Okay.
What the fuck? No! Oh, I remembered it. Do you know that some people thought like lobster was like hobo food? Back in the day?
Yeah, I do know that.
That's wild to me.
Like the peasant food. They're literally like, this is for peasants. We won't eat this peasant food, and now it's like the most expensive thing on the menu. That's typically what happens though. The peasants
How do we make seafood peasant food again? What's currently peasant food? I want to try that shit.
Currently peasant food is literally just like you throw stuff together. Like you get beef, cook it, slap it with like potatoes or something.
She's telling me Chef Boyardee is peasant food.
Yeah, that's peasant food.
It kind of does slap.
Yeah. Typically, I don't know. My mom calls certain things peasant food, but I don't know if it's actually peasant food. But
like what? Tell me.
Like
I'll judge.
I don't know. Basically, what I was just saying, you just like cook hamburger, gravy, potatoes, smack that together with maybe some like vegetables. Just like eating poor tonight.
It just sounds like a regular ass meal, bro.
Maybe we are just peasants, and that's just a regular meal to us.
Our regular diet is just like actually like poor.
We're actually just poor.
Jesus,
but man, is it delicious!
It is.
No one can deny that food's good.
Potatoes, fuck.
Potatoes are probably they've now become the most underrated food.
I don't think
I don't think people really appreciate.
They don't appreciate it
in their diet as much.
Oh yeah,
because like it's a filling portion of your plate, and they're cheap. Potatoes have consistently been a cheap food to buy.
That's how the Irish made them.
Yeah. So like, I was just thinking about this today too. I was at the store because we bought potatoes, and I was like, potatoes are cheap, and you get a bunch of them, and why don't we eat more potatoes?
Because potatoes.
And that leads me to another thing. You can grow your own potatoes in your own yard. Why don't we do that more? Why don't we grow our own food more? That was brought on by a podcast I was listening to. We could grow our own food if we really wanted to and sustain ourselves pretty well.
We can.
But we just don't.
but the homeowners association will let us.
That's
What?
why
Suburbia, you can't have your own food.
I'm so happy this year because we actually have a really good cherry harvest on our trees. So literally, I'll be good for like the whole summer on cherries.
No, my plan eventually one day is so this is my crackpot dream is like making a like a what the fuck's the word? It's
Garden?
Not a garden. A garden, yes. Eventually, I will be an old man and I will have
farm.
Isn't like an aquarium or something like that. It's like you have a fish farm.
Oh yeah,
and the fishes poop,
something like that.
and then it fertilizes your garden.
Oh yeah,
and then you get like
you told me about this.
yeah, I want that. I just like one day I will have it.
Because that's basically just a self-sufficient thing.
You just have fishes and
Yeah.
you have vegetables.
Literally, I think all you have to do at that point is maybe pay for like fish food, and that's it.
And even then, you don't even need to pay for fish food. All your leftovers
Yeah.
can be thrown into the fucking water.
Well, I mean, still could find. You probably want to get more.
I think so. I think
High
that some of the
quality.
videos I've watched, I don't think they rarely ever even feed the fish. I think they actually feed it like in a different way.
Because one thing for sure, from historical standpoints, is when you feed animals just anything, you're gonna end up with worse quality meat. Because people used to feed just pigs anything, any leftovers, and you'd end up with really like bad diseased pigs.
Yeah, pigs are weird though.
Well, same thing will happen with any animal though. You feed a chicken too much chicken, and your chicken quality is not going to be too much good.
Okay, that's one thing. Why would you feed it like chicken out of everything? I'd be like, the cannibalism that might be might be a slight problem.
Chickens just do resort to cannibalism a lot faster than you might think.
I fear for the front of your yard now.
Yeah, they already have committed that act.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they got attacked by the year we first got them.
Mm-hmm.
A dog came into the yard and attacked some of them, and one was like just bleeding inside the pen, and the chicken just started eating it alive. And it was like, what is wrong with you thing?
Jesus Christ.
It's like literally, I didn't ever consider becoming vegan before, but that day I was like, I feel no remorse when it comes to eating chicken.
Fuck you guys.
You guys are awful.
This is why I'm the predator.
Exactly. And chicken is so good. I love me a good chicken nugget.
Okay, chicken nuggets are different though.
They're not. It's all chicken.
Is it though? Okay, what chicken nuggets are we talking about though?
I like Wendy's chicken nuggets, but also I feel like at this point in town, Wendy's chicken nuggets are the only chicken nuggets that I think are actually like
Edible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, McNuggets just have their signature flavor, but there's no way those things are good for you.
No.
Like,
nothing,
in the
nothing
slightest.
on that menu is good for you.
Oh no. Yeah.
I had a
All right.
I had a quarter pounder the other day in like 10 years. I ate it and I'm like, this is good because I haven't had it for so long. And I can immediately tell what I just ingested. This is going to kill me.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly how. Because Val loves getting McDonald's, and sometimes I go, okay, well, we can have McDonald's.
Her little Mexican body can handle it though.
But like, so their new chicken sandwich, those things are good. I like them, and they don't cause me any problems. But if I get like the quarter pounder, like you said, like anything with beef in it,
I don't trust it.
terrible, and it will feel like a rock in my stomach. Like, literally.
Sip.
That's gonna be that. That is the equivalent.
Kneecap.
That's the equivalent of the when the Krusty Krab got taken over, and they're like just putting the gray goop inside of the patties.
Ew.
That's what I imagine I just ate when I go to McDonald's.
Ew.
And that's also how I imagine what I ate when I went to Burger King the other day to try the Spider-Man Whopper.
The first problem you had was
Going to Burger King.
Burger King.
See, I thought I'd give him a second chance because I was hearing good things about the Spider-Man Whopper, and they're like, yeah, Burger King's actually using real ingredients. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I've been too harsh on Burger King. No, I think I was perfectly harsh because that burger actually made me physically sick.
You're the first person I've ever really heard in my life who just eats food, and that sometimes there's always like a side effect.
I think it's because, like, for a long time, I was able to avoid fast food, and I just would eat homemade stuff. But then there's like a couple years where like I eat a bunch of fast food, and once I start eating the fast food, my stomach will just start like being in pain, because like KFC will always make me sick, and I don't. That also in relation, I don't eat KFC that often. I'm sure if I ate a bunch of greasy, fatty foods that are terrible for you, I probably wouldn't get as much stomach aches, but I'd also probably be less healthy. But yeah, that's why I'm very particular about what I eat and where I eat it.
See, I just eat to eat. Sometimes I'm just like, fucking feed me.
Because most of the time, my body will tell me if something's not supposed to be in my system.
Yeah, that was a lack of communication with the stomach department in my case. It's just, oh, cool, we're eating, fuck it.
Basically, anything at Wendy's, though, my body's like,
oh, good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
I kind of want a chicken burger now.
Dude, chicken burger or chicken sandwich?
I meant sandwich, but like, yeah.
Is there even a difference?
You want this to be the last conversation on this podcast, arguing what the fuck the difference between a sandwich and a burger is?
No, I mean, just specifically chicken. Is there really any difference between calling it a chicken burger or a chicken sandwich? Are they the same thing? Are they interchangeable? Or is there an actual chicken burger where there's a chicken sandwich?
No, it's called a chicken sandwich. I just mispronounced it, but now that you say it like...
But I've heard people say chicken burger before. Because there's a salmon burger, not a salmon sandwich. They call it a salmon burger. And it's basically the same thing as a chicken sandwich.
I'm thinking.
What's the definition of a burger?
All right, well, now we've entered this part of the territory. I don't know.
What?
Because what sandwiches are cold.
Definition.
That's the only difference.
A burger. Hamburger, or simply burger, is a food consisting of fillings, usually a patty of ground meat, typically beef.
Oh, is that the only difference?
Maybe it is.
Maybe it's just a patty. You make a patty out of a chicken.
Ground meat is the difference. Because there's turkey sandwich, but then there's also turkey burger, which is ground turkey.
Yeah, so it's just the patty.
So
it's
a chicken burger would be ground chicken.
Yeah, and then a chicken sandwich would just be like a chicken breast.
Is the chicken breast.
And just
okay,
they place.
That makes more sense.
So then what's a sub?
So then the salmon burger wouldn't be a salmon burger, it'd be a salmon sandwich because you're just using a salmon fillet and not ground salmon.
Exactly.
And a sub is still a sandwich because it's just normal fillings. There's nothing ground inside of it.
Yeah.
But a sloppy Joe would be considered a burger rather than a sandwich because it's ground beef instead of just beef.
So okay, so when it comes to the patty, is it a burger if it's a patty or if it's just a ground substance in between the
From
sandwich?
what this definition is saying is a patty of ground meat. So if it is ground meat inside the sandwich, then that makes it
evolves into a burger.
But the moment it's not ground, so if you were to put a steak in between two buns, that is not a burger.
That is a steak sandwich.
Okay.
We figured it out, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
probably the most simple conversation on how this fucking works.
That was a very easy question.
So what was the answer to the sub then?
A sub is still just a sandwich because it's just normal fillings inside the sandwich. Because that would mean,
and then like if
there's a difference between a sub sandwich and a normal sandwich, that would mean there would also be a difference between a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a normal sandwich.
That is correct.
There'd have to be different.
So then here's my question: when you heat up a sandwich, it becomes a melt, right? Right, because that's how I'm thinking.
Melt. I think it's still a sandwich. It's just
a hot sandwich.
It's like. Yeah, it's just a hot sandwich because the cheese is melted.
Yeah.
But there's really no difference between that and a grilled cheese sandwich. Because a grilled cheese sandwich isn't called a melt, but the cheese is still melted.
Yeah.
It's only a melt when you're melting the cheese inside the sandwich onto other toppings.
Yes. Wow, anytime someone needs to reference to how these foods work, we should just show them this clip.
And a panini is a melt, but the difference is you're pressing the bread into a crispier
So a panini,
substance. And you use a certain type of bread typically with a panini.
I've seen some people use a lot
Typically,
of
you could use
technically anything.
Bread. You could use anything.
You use sourdough, right? Don't be weird.
Yeah, I mean sourdough is the best complement to turkey and cheese. I feel like
sometimes I don't go with turkey. I go with ham.
I don't really like ham.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
I feel like most of the time with ham, this is my problem with ham. Most of the time they honey glaze it.
Oh, I fucking hate that shit.
I don't like the.
You don't like the sweet?
I don't like the sweet meat.
I fucking hate that shit. I hate that shit on Thanksgiving. I have never enjoyed it. I don't know who keeps on fucking bringing it to the function. Stop that shit. It is ass.
I think it's good by itself. Like if you have like a ham by itself with no honey glaze,
fine.
Just ham, it's good.
I'll take it.
But as soon as you add a honey glaze, I love honey.
Cinnamon specific.
If you add the sweet to that particular meat, chicken and honey actually is really good.
I've never tried it.
Even fish and honey is actually really good. I actually
want to try that now.
But like pork and honey does not belong together. They don't complement.
I agree 100%.
Pork is already a sweeter meat. So adding more sweet onto it just gets rid of the savoriness.
Yeah.
And it just tastes like you're eating like a dessert.
It's just ass.
It's just not as good.
It's just ass.
It's never as good. And I hate it. And that's why I prefer turkey over a ham sandwich, because the turkey, you could most of the time is going to be oven roasted or like they have some sort of like spice added to it. So it enhances the turkey flavor and adds even more to your sandwich.
Yes. So then this leads to our other question. We figure out what a panini is. A panini is just pressing something.
It's a pressed sandwich.
A melt is something where like it's a sandwich, but the cheese is on top and you're trying to like
it's just melted cheese into your sandwich.
Yes. And a sandwich is just something that's in between two pieces of bread. Typically. A burger is just grounded up of
it's a sandwich, but it has ground meat inside of it.
Yes. And then it's like then it becomes a burger. So then what is cereal? Is like soup a cereal technically, or are we gonna figure this out?
Soup?
Because I think soup is technically just a cold cereal. Is just a cold soup.
What is the definition of soup? That's what we're gonna look at. This is gonna become a 2-hour episode.
I got shit.
What is definition? What is definition of soup? So soup is a primarily liquid food, generally served warm or hot, that is made by combining ingredients of meat or vegetables with stock, milk, or water.
Okay,
so
soup is warm.
Yeah, soup.
So what? Okay, what is a food that is liquid but cold? Because I can guarantee you, cereal is not the actual like name. That's like a subverb. Yeah. We're missing a link here. What's the link?
Here's the thing too, that by this definition, there's cold soups. Those aren't actually soups.
Yeah. So what the fuck is a cold soup? What do you call a cold soup? Because this answers the question then. What is a cold soup? What is the name for a cold soup? There has to be a name.
So yeah, a gazpacho is by definition of what a soup is.
So a cereal is a gazpacho.
Gazpacho is not a soup, but gazpacho is not the type. It's not like a category. It's a certain type of whatever this cold liquid food would be.
So we have soup, and what's the cold version of a soup?
What is a cold soup called?
Yes, I need a cold soup. What's the cold soup called? Because then there's like a cereal is just like cereal is like chicken noodle basically in this game.
Yeah. So they don't actually seem to have an actual name for cold soup.
So
they just call it cold soup, but by definition, it's not a soup because soup has to be warm. That's like it's an oxymoron at that point, because you can't call something a cold soup when by definition a soup is a hot liquid. You're calling it a cold hot liquid.
So then what would we use to call it then? We need to come up with a name. This is where we come up with something, Caleb.
It's
an oblivious soup.
It's an oblivious.
I don't even know what I would call it. Would cereal work here in this scenario?
Because cereal's not soup. By definition, it is not soup. But then would hot cereal be considered a soup? Would oatmeal be a soup by definition?
Technically, yes, but it would be soggy. But I would consider it a soup.
Okay, or would it be considered a chowder? Because a chowder is different than a normal soup.
Okay, now we're getting back. Now we're getting to
the thick soup made with typical other ingredients.
Yeah.
Where soup is going to be more liquidy.
Yeah.
And so
chowder's just it's like a melt. It's just a variation.
It's a variation of a soup. So there's soup. And then there's chowder, liquid.
Go into Photoshop and put this all on screen.
Soup, chowder, and then normal liquid soup that you consider like stew. Yeah. There's another category. There's stew. Stew is completely different than a soup, right?
What's a stew?
What's the definition of a stew?
What would a stew just be? I think stew is just soup. What's the definition? Because stews are just warmed with vegetables primarily in it. So I think it's just another variation of a soup.
It's the definition of a stew. A stew, cook food by simmering or slow boiling. Oh no, that's just the cooking process of stewing.
So stewing is just soup, but just fancy.
A stew is a dish of meat and vegetables.
That's like a panini.
Slowly. So here's the difference. Soup is gonna have the broth typically. Stew is not gonna have as much broth, but it's more typically about the sustenance of meat and vegetables inside of it. Where soup is typically
So then it's just the paninis of soup.
So there's soup, liquid soup, stew,
chowder.
Under chowder, we would put like potato soup, because they call it soup, but potato soup by what it actually is a chowder.
Yeah.
So clam chowder, potato soup, and oatmeal would be under chowder.
Yeah, it would be under chowder.
And then you go down, there's soup, typical soup, ramen would be under typical soup.
It would definitely be.
Chicken noodle, all that stuff that you typically, tomato soup, all of that would be considered
all that soup.
Typical soup.
And
then there's stew, which you can just guess what a stew is.
Yeah.
There's no real.
It's just the paninis. It's just how you make it.
There's no real like.
It can literally, honestly, I'd be on the other side to say it's just a fucking soup.
Yeah. Would a seafood broil be considered? Is gumbo a stew or is it a soup?
I'd say stew, but I'm not.
Let's see what the internet says.
I think it is. I think it is technically a stew.
Is gumbo?
I think it would be stew. That would be my guess.
It's a stew. It's a hearty stew.
That's what
okay, so that makes sense because it's typically more about stuff inside than the actual broth.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we have
the warm section. The cold section needs to be discovered.
No name. Okay.
We need to figure out a name. What is?
I'm going deep. What is gazpacho?
What is gazpacho? We need a fucking. If we're not ending this episode until we fucking figure out what the fuck we call cold soup, because cereal.
They just still call it cold soup.
What? It's
not by definition. It's not a soup because a soup has to be hot by definition.
Yeah. So that doesn't make any sense. What? How can you? Okay, we need to use our big brains here. Is there a word that describes the absence of heat? Like in a way where it's like, fuck, how do I say this?
Cold?
Like, no, because technically, even if you look at it scientifically, cold still is hot, but it's in like a weird hot phase, scientifically speaking. But I'm getting besides the point. Because it's like technically the absence of heat, but since there's so much absence of heat that it's hot, some fucking weird bullshit like that. That's really nerdy shit. But like, fuck, it's not the cold part that's fucking with me. It's the soup.
Wait.
You found something?
We got another definition of soup. A liquid dish typically made by boiling meat, fish, or vegetables in stock or water. So by this definition, it doesn't have to be served hot. It just has to be prepared by boiling it. So by this definition, cereal is not even considered a cold soup. Because you don't boil the milk. You don't boil anything to prepare the cereal.
So then is it its own category then?
Cereal is just cereal then.
So it's not even related.
No, it's not even close to a soup. You might think it's like a soup, but it's not actually a soup because it's not prepared
So it's like
in the way
so we can't even call it
soup.
cold soup anymore.
No, it's not cold soup.
So
it's just
then we
cereal.
just need a whole new word for it then.
Cereal is just cereal.
But then what happens if there has to be other cold liquid items?
Wait. Is ice cream a soup?
Technically, if it gets warm, yes.
No. Because by this definition, a cold soup is still a soup because soup is only soup because it's prepared by boiling ingredients.
Uh-huh.
And don't you typically with ice cream as a part of the process, isn't there sometimes at some point a boiling process?
I think like for like a little bit.
I think with certain ice cream processes, you have to boil
I think it
them.
depends on the flavor.
Hot chocolate's a soup. Because you boil the milk. Tea is a soup. Because you boil the tea water.
I think technically it's the action afterwards because you drink tea. So
You drink soup.
But you also eat with soup sometimes.
But you still drink. Does that make it tomato soup a warm beverage? Or does that make it's still a soup?
Technically, I've seen more people drink tomato soup. So I would say I would consider actually tomato soup a beverage. I'll be honest.
Tomato soup is a hot beverage. So now you just created a whole new thing because now
technically that gets into vegetables and how
the balance of soup is now breaking because now if you drink soup, that just makes it a hot drink, not a soup.
Yes.
Because that would make stew not a soup anymore because soup is now hot drinks and that because you could drink just chicken noodle soup. Like how you drink typical tomato soup.
It's like just you're drinking V8, but it's just hot.
But you could say that with a chicken noodle. Yeah. If you guzzle down a chicken noodle, that would make it no longer a soup. That makes it a hot drink.
You were just drinking chicken broth.
But then at that point, that shatters the soup hierarchy. Because now stew and gazpacho and stew and chowder are now separate from soup because now soup is now in a separate category with drinks.
So okay, here's what I would say to make a difference. Soup is only soup if it's hot and the definition, and you use like a utensil to eat with it. And then like if you don't use a utensil or like there's things in it and you just drink from it primarily, that's just a hot beverage. That's what I'd make the differencing factor.
I'm gonna disagree.
Why?
Soup is soup. It stays soup. Hot beverages, by definition, will now also be put into the category of soup. They are now soup. When you order a hot coffee, it's now soup. Even iced coffee, that's soup.
Can we look at the definition of soup again? I need a re-clarification. Both definitions, please. Because you might convince me here, but I don't know.
The definition of soup. Liquid dish, typically made by boiling meat, fish, or vegetables in stock or water.
See, that's
a substance or mixture perceived to resemble soup in appearance or consistency.
So, like, I say the first definition really, like, sets it. Like, it has to have some type of thing in it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there is a difference. When it's tomato soup, though, it's a fraud. That shit's a hot beverage. I'll 100% agree.
That's still soup.
I think it's a hot beverage.
Soup.
I think it's a hot beverage.
It is soup. It is prepared as a soup. Everything under the definition of soup makes tomato soup a soup.
But it has to be prepared with a food. And like
no.
It's said with meat and things.
With it, not just meat, because by that definition, a vegetable stew is now just a hot beverage.
So it has to be a meat.
It has to have meat, fish, or vegetables. It doesn't have to have all of the above. It just has to have some of the above. So if it just has vegetables in it, which I'll also consider fruit under that because tomato is a fruit, that would indeed make it still a soup. But by also this definition, you would have to consider the fact that maybe, just maybe, jam is a form of soup.
What the fuck did jam answer the question?
Because you prepare it like a soup. Am I not wrong?
You prepare it like a soup, but you don't eat it like a soup.
You could. It's just prepared differently.
Is everything just soup? Because that's the thing we're getting here. I think you're broadening it too much. Because if everything at one point, I'll be honest, you boil everything.
That's true.
So then it becomes too broad.
Okay,
and everything becomes
so jam
soup.
is not soup then.
I wouldn't say jam's a soup. I think it's not the definition, but it's also the process of how you eat it.
You know what?
I think that's what classifies. That's what makes soup. That's what makes soup special. Because there has to be certain things, and I'll agree with that. But then you have to use some type of utensil in a bowl to make it a soup. Like it's like what you eat with it and what it is eaten with, like the container. That's also what it makes it a soup. That's why I was kind of iffy with tomato soup, because it's like technically people eat it in a bowl or something, out of a cup. That's what the difference between like a V8 and like tomato soup
in the Venn diagram of what makes things a soup, I think tomato soup still checks both categories to make it a soup.
It's that weird one at the party. It's like, why are you both?
It is indeed, by all definitions, a soup.
Yeah.
Cereal, on the other hand,
it's weird.
By all definitions, is not a soup. It is not prepared at all how a soup would be. The only thing that makes it soup-like is how you eat it.
Yeah.
But if that was the main definition of if you eat it with a spoon, you are now opening the gates to mashed potatoes being a soup.
I think,
which we can't have mashed potatoes being a soup.
Okay, hold on. My monkey brain's going off right now. I think we should call it cereal, but in specific with milk and frosted things that we put in it, I think we should just call it Cheerios as a giant overall.
No, because Cheerios is a type of cereal. So cereal is its own thing.
No, but I'd say for categorization, like just like label it for cold liquidy items, just all call it cereal. Like
all cereal.
Just new definition for cereal. That's all it is for all of it. And then just for like,
what's the definition of cereal?
Oh, fucking chinga tu madre.
Because now we get, if you consider finish what you're saying. For
the whole category of a cold liquid mixed with something else, that's just cereal. Like overall.
Because then at that point, that would also have to include ice cream as a cereal.
Yeah,
ice cream can't be cereal. It's not cereal.
For being like the same as cereal.
Yeah, it is not, because by what you're saying, if it's a cold thing that you typically mix with stuff.
Yeah, it's the opposite of soup.
But just making the opposite. You can't put ice cream in the same you can't put ice cream under cereal.
I don't want to put ice cream in the beginning. That was totally your idea.
By your definition, ice cream would be considered a cereal. We're trying to make things more simple so people understand what things are. People stop calling things cereal soup.
You brought up ice cream.
But I'm just speaking for the people who would be like,
why would people want to put ice cream in cereal? Like at that point, it's just milk.
Well, who's trying to put cereal inside soup? Cereal's not soup.
That is also true.
So what is the definition?
It's just probably just milk. It's probably
cereal.
That's what it is.
What makes a cereal? Cereal is a term for a plant, usually grass, that produces, not cereal, plants.
Cereal.
A breakfast food made from roasted grain, typically eaten with milk. So cereal, by definition, is its own little category that only is being considered of
when it's wheat.
The breakfast, typically wheat-made foods made in those boxes for breakfast.
Yeah.
That's what a cereal is. You can't put anything else in that category. All of you out there, you cannot put anything else in the cereal category. Cereal is not a soup. Cereal is its own little category.
Well, there needs to be a bigger word for that, because there's other foods that you might want to. You can put like dried strawberries into like soup or like soup. I've seen not soup.
No, because they're not prepared
in milk.
Well, that wouldn't make it a cereal. That just makes it
completely something
dried strawberries and milk.
Yeah, but like we need a bigger name for all of it.
There's no need. There's no need for a bigger name for all of it, because if you do, that adds confusion.
How does that add confusion? That's a soup.
It's not soup. Soup is soup.
I know what soup is. I know what soup is, but we have everything under soup.
Cereal is its own thing. There's no need to put it under any other category.
What if there's something that's cold and you put things in it?
It's not soup then.
I'm not saying it's soup.
Not cereal.
I'm making a whole different thing.
It's not cereal. You don't need to put anything else around the cereal category other than putting it under the category of breakfast foods. But even then, it can't even be just a breakfast food. You could eat it as a snack. So it's just cereal.
Yeah.
Cereal is cereal.
Technically, waffles aren't breakfast foods either. Those are desserts.
It's a breakfast dessert.
That's what? That's an oxymoron. That's two different meals.
It's a breakfast. That's not... dessert's not a meal. Dessert is a complement to whatever meal you just ate.
But it was specifically designed as like an actual like dessert, though. Like it wasn't intended in the morning. That's an American thing.
Well, doesn't matter.
What's the definition of dessert then? Where you started looking up definitions. This is what happened to this episode.
What is the definition?
Because I think some people would consider it like an after thing for dinner.
Dessert is a course that concludes a meal. The course consists of sweet foods such as candy and possibly a beverage such as a dessert, wine, and liquor in some parts of the world, blah, blah, blah. So, like I said, it is not a meal. It's a part of the meal. So you can have dessert with any sort of meal that you had. You can have dessert after breakfast, after lunch, and after dinner. So therefore, waffles would be a breakfast dessert. But you could also have waffles as a dessert after lunch or after dinner.
You'd be weird to do it after lunch. That's just weird. That just seems wrong.
That's just brunch.
Yeah, that's just brunch, but that's just weird.
So
that just feels wrong.
Yeah, by definition, a waffle, if you eat it as a conclusion to your meal, it's a dessert.
Yeah.
But you could also eat it as your meal, which then would make it
just dessert.
No, it would just make it food.
Just food. Just food.
It just makes it your meal. Because you could eat waffles for breakfast, you could eat waffles for lunch, or you could eat waffles for dinner.
I just had an epiphany. Why the fuck are we categorizing all of it? It's just all food.
Look, people want to put categories on things.
That's just so I'm done being human.
Now we have to solve the world's problems because they're trying to say that cereal's a soup, and now we just proved that cereal's not a soup.
It's not a soup.
And now we just categorize waffles as a dessert that you could have also. You can eat dessert as any sort of food, but typically it is a dessert. It's a finishing meal. If you want to eat...
How do they eat it in Belgium, though? That's the thing. I think maybe even then it's like... Okay, here's the thing to throw a wrench in all of our plans.
Okay.
When it comes to certain foods and how they are eaten, do they belong in different categories then? Because then I'll be honest, like we'll use waffles here as an example. Technically, they are a dessert. But
by how they are typically known to be eaten.
Yeah, as they're eaten, could it just be, at least in America, could they just be not a dessert anymore, just a breakfast item? Because then that would change it, no? Because then if that's the established rule, then everything kind of changes. Because then some soups all of a sudden become breakfast items and might be considered something else completely different.
So I think what there is, because now what you're saying has brought into mind that there should be breakfast waffles and other kinds of dessert waffles. Or there's waffles and dessert waffles, because a waffle, I've seen waffles made with crab, and that would no longer make it as a dessert. That makes it an entirely different thing on its own.
That just makes it dinner.
But then at the same time, no, I'm not even going to get into that. Not even going to get into that.
We went to soup into what the fuck food items are.
Waffles can be split into two categories. Same with pancakes. All those things that are typically...
Pancakes, French toast, and waffles, the trio can be considered...
Within every category, you could say that there is a dessert category and a non-dessert category.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
This got so oddly confusing at one point.
Yeah. I think we... Is there any other lingering debates that we should solve? Hot dogs...
Okay, you want to ask this one? Hot dogs would be a
hot dog would be...
we never actually described this. What the fuck is a sandwich? We never actually got to that, and I'm shocked we didn't. Is it 2 slices of bread?
I don't think it has to be 2.
I think it has to be 2.
It can. There's open face sandwiches though.
This is the problem. This is the problem with I can't believe we somehow avoided the sandwich debate. I think a sandwich. Okay, let's look at sandwiches. Usually, and the examples we used previous, usually it is. We're gonna go with a classic example.
Okay.
PB&J. Mm-hmm. It is 2 individual slices of bread, slabbed with something in the middle, and eventually they can evolve into other things depending on like how it's prepared.
Yeah.
To me, that defines what a sandwich is. It's 2 pieces of bread.
Okay.
Classically. Now, eventually you get into the whole halfies thing. And I think with that, I think I consider that a sub. That's why I brought it up later with that whole like sub talk. Because then
no, subs are still sandwiches though.
It's just, I think there's just maybe like a sandwich category, and then there's just little branches off.
Yeah, they all fall under it's like the soup thing again. Yeah. They're all sandwiches, but no 2 sandwiches are made the same. Because there's sub sandwiches, there's the typical 2 slices of bread sandwich, and then there's also open face sandwich. So under those
open
3,
face sandwich?
and then there's burgers.
Yeah.
Burgers are a different category.
Yeah. So I feel like with a hot dog, it'd just be
a hot dog.
I think a hot dog is just a sandwich.
A hot dog's a sandwich.
Broad category sandwich. Maybe technically it's, what do you think it is?
But by definition, I think it would be a burger.
How would it be a burger? Oh, because it's ground
meat.
Oh. I go
hot dog's a burger.
I go a burger.
By the definitions that we've read, a hot dog is a burger.
Yeah, it's a burger. It's a burger.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that all we got?
I think so. I think that's the fact that has been an issue for so long is frustrating because it's such an easy
sandwich.
Answer. It's a sandwich.
But it's in classification of a burger.
Yeah.
Because it's grounded up meat, technically.
Because the thing with what we've done in society is everything can and will fit into a category. You just need to find the right category. It's like when you call a pumpkin. This makes me so mad. Is anytime I see a pumpkin called a vegetable, they're not vegetables. They're botanically a fruit.
Yeah, they are fruit.
So the fact that people are calling them vegetables is stupid. They're fruit. Yeah. By all intents and purposes, they are fruit. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you're trying to put it in a different category to fit some sort of other idea is dumb because it's a fruit.
It's a fruit.
You can't, it has seeds and it grows on a plant. Because by what they are saying, by their extreme idea, grapes would then be considered a vegetable because they grow on a vine.
Yeah.
Strawberries would be a vegetable because they grow on a vine.
Don't most... Okay, they grow on vines, but aren't they on trees too?
What?
Grapes? Am I thinking wrong?
No, grapes are on vines.
What am I thinking of then?
Cherries?
How are white grapes made?
Same, they're still grapes.
Swear to God, I saw them on trees once.
The vines get very big.
That's what I was thinking. They kind of look tree-like.
They get big, and typically with like vineyards, they have them on like stakes and stuff, okay. So it looks like a tree, but it's still just a vine.
I was tripping out. I was like, wait, how the fuck how did that work out then? No, you're right. So yeah.
Yeah.
So can an apple be an orange?
No.
When they cross over?
No.
Those weird hybrids?
No.
How do hybrid foods work?
That's completely different than anything else we've talked about because now you're changing nature. Because at that point, if you combined an apple and an orange, it's neither an apple or an orange, but it's both an apple and an orange. So therefore, it's its own different category of hybrid fruit.
We've stumbled into food philosophy.
Because if you are taking 2 things that are not even remotely close and forcing them to create something new, that is now no longer both. It's no longer either category, but it's both categories. So, but you can't put it in one without putting in the other. Mm-hmm. So therefore, it's its own little category.
Yeah. Okay.
So like a pluot, a plum, plum apricot. Mm-hmm. Those are neither plums or apricots. They're all under pitted fruit, but it is now a hybrid pitted fruit.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. So what about broccoli? in that whole clusterfuck.
Broccoli is a vegetable, right?
It is, but technically how broccoli... Did you not know that... Like, I don't even know what the original fucking thing it comes from. That the lifeline of a broccoli, I'm just going to label it that, is all just one fruit at different stages. Or one vegetable at different stages. So it's technically all one thing, but it just all has different names in its evolution.
So it's just...
I forgot what it comes from. Is it cabbage?
A broccoli would be a vegetables.
Yeah, technically.
Because it's multiple vegetables.
Yeah. Also has autism. Yeah, most modern fruits and vegetables are all autistic.
Okay.
Or no.
I don't know what
they have the Down syndrome.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
I just bring that up. That's just the fun
I don't
fact.
think that's even possible for...
It is, actually.
Because it's not possible for animals to get that.
No, they do. It's real. I looked it up when looking up a Banana Republic thing. It was completely random.
Are you sure it's that? Or is it... Because...
They inbreed so much, they have problems.
Well, that's not...
It's not related to anything.
That's
I just
not
thought
Down syndrome. That's something else.
Well, sometimes it develops it in some of the fruits, and then they don't.
A fruit can't have Down syndrome, though. Nor can it be autistic.
It has. Look, Google it. Some fruits.
Well, I know it can have things wrong with it, but it wouldn't be considered those things because those things are specifically a human trait.
It's actually any animal can actually have it.
I just looked this up that animals don't get autism.
I meant Down syndrome.
Down syndrome.
I do. You sure?
They can get deformities, but they can't get those specific.
Yeah, so it would probably
terms.
Specifically to like an animal. Or
It's a deformity, but it's not.
So wait, are we
Down syndrome.
We're debating something else completely different now.
You've gone from food to now human genetics, which is completely different.
Let's get to God.
Is God a vegetable or is he a fruit?
Arguably, I don't think it actually has any mass. I just view him as a ball. This is two.
Let's go back to fruit.
Damn.
Let's go back to food.
Okay.
That's the one that makes sense. But I think we've already destroyed the major debates on what makes foods food.
No, because we already did that one. Because there is a difference. I think we got them all.
There should be no more conflict.
Okay, what's the difference between meat and beef?
Beef is a type of meat.
No, like meat as okay. So this is why I'm asking. Like meat as in flesh. So when I think of beef, I think of cow. Mm-hmm. And when I think of chicken, just chicken.
Chicken.
And then lamb is into like
lamb is lamb.
Like sheep. There's lamb and sheep are technically just interchangeable. Yeah. But like I think of just meat as just all of that.
Yeah, that
right?
Yeah, that's
okay.
right.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because some people just say meat and they usually refer to beef, and I'm like, that's kind of like only in specific. Like beef's just removed from that. Okay, meat.
That also brings up. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but this did frustrate me. Uh-huh. The specific when people call the rolls of meat that they call that it's called carne asada.
Yeah,
I feel like that's wrong because that's just calling it grilled meat. But like
it's not grilled yet.
Technically, all meat that's grilled is carne asada.
I think okay, so this is where my Hispanic roots come in. I think that's just the name of the food. It's not. Okay. Like it's not supposed to be literally taken as it.
So it's just the direct translation to English is just not what it's supposed to be known as.
It's literally it's like beef Wellington.
Okay.
So it's like that. It's like it's just carne asada. It's just, technically all of it can be all of that.
All grilled meats would be carne asada, but that specific
one, that's its name.
Okay.
So it's like that's how that should work.
That makes more sense.
That also might spark debate because technically it's like, well, if it's the whole soup thing again, where it's just like it's all of it's technically grilled meat, but that one's just its name.
I think that makes more sense.
Yeah,
that makes more sense because by what we also established with the soup is that if it's its name, then typically that's why it's under that category. Like the gazpacho is a cold soup, but it is still a soup because of how it's prepared. Mm-hmm. And that meat is going to be grilled meat. It's just a specific type of grilled meat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then technically, I think it also requires fruit not fruit. It needs a pineapple, some type of acidic fruit.
I wouldn't say it requires it, but I'd say that
it has to be the package.
I'd say it typically has that.
Yeah,
it's not a requirement, but it will.
I'm not the hardcore like. I'm gonna say in specific Mexican cooking, but I think some of them would actually require the fruit to be there to consider the role. I'm not gonna debate it here because that's not my. If Andrew was here, that would be a completely different story. I'm just gonna be neutral in the term that I think it might need the pineapple, or I think it's either pineapple or a orange, depends on the place.
I'm gonna argue no, but they add that because it adds flavor to the meat as a whole.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement, but if you want a certain flavor, you're going to add the oranges to the beef or the pineapple to the pork.
So then I have another question when it comes to fish. Mm-hmm. Just how like we categorize beef, lamb, and then chicken. Mm-hmm. So technically, shouldn't that be somewhat applied to fish then? Because it's like, it would be like...
Fish is meat.
Fish is meat, but like, I guess with the since it's from the sea, like, would you consider like... it different between fishes then? Because they're not all the same? It might look the same to us.
In a sense, yes, it is different because there'd be a category of
like dark
land meat and water meat. And in the water meat, there's freshwater meat and saltwater meat.
Yeah.
Because you just got to consider the different animal categories because there's land animals, water animals, saltwater animals, freshwater animals.
Then would there be like a category like and similar to beef, chicken, and lamb then? Because it would be like what? I don't know, random example would be like salmon, whatever the fuck. I don't think we have a specific word.
Salmon is kind of both salt and freshwater though.
Well, technically how you typically eat it, by they become freshwater.
Yeah.
How you should eat it, they should be freshwater. If you're eating a salty salmon, you're fucked. You're an ass.
Yeah.
You're a dick. But like that, and then like cod, like one's darker, one's lighter. So I think even then there might be like a little bit of colorism where it's like there might be like when it comes to fish, it's like darker fish and lighter fish. So I think there might be a classification there too.
I think it's typically
that's what my dad said, but I never really got into it.
Animals. All animals will have a dark and a light meat to them.
But they're all dark, they're all light with fish, though.
Okay,
like,
then
the cod is like almost all white inside, and then salmon are fucking weird.
I think at that point though, you're just specifically choosing a type of fish to eat.
Okay,
because that's like choosing between. You can't say a duck and a turkey are the same thing. They might be under the same category of poultry, but they're not the same meat.
Okay. So we got that down. I don't think there's anything else.
I think.
Okay, I got one though. I think this is funny.
Okay.
What do we call Diet Coke? Pop or soda?
That just honestly, in all honesty, that depends on your region. I call it soda because I just think soda sounds better than just calling it pop.
Yeah.
But pop is also they're both correct answers. It's just what you decide to call it. Some people will even call it soda pop. Or
you're weird if you call it soda pop.
In the South, every single carbonated beverage is a Coke.
And that's like just calling it like beef.
Yeah.
That's just weird to me.
It's weird, but they're technically not wrong. By what they've learned, them calling it just a Coke, while Coke is a brand, I think that all just comes down to just marketing and the fact that Coke has a huge hand over the market.
They just have a cultural influence.
Yeah. So when you most likely in the South, when you think of a soda, you think of a Coke, even though there's different kinds. So when you ask for,
I had a morbid thought process right now.
What's that?
Low key, I'd eat a deformed like deer or something. You think it tastes any different?
I don't think so.
Like, I just use deer as an example. Like, I would try it. Just be like, does it taste any different? Could it be better?
I 100%.
Because I think it probably would taste different, but maybe not.
I guess it depends on how it's deformed. Because,
that is true.
If it has a deformity that produces more fat inside of it, that's a different story because that will fundamentally change the flavor of the meat.
Hold on, I just had a fucking dumb observation. Do we deform food? Okay, that actually just answers my question. Do we deform some foods just to do that?
Yes, that's why bananas, the ones we buy, don't have seeds because they bred them not to have seeds because banana seeds were always huge.
But it's not an evolutionary trait. It's just a deformity.
They bred bananas specifically to not have seeds anymore. Same with oranges because typically you could argue that they do it so you can't plant your own, but also at the same time they have oranges that have seeds. But the reason they get rid of the seeds is to make a better eating experience because bananas, how they were in their most primal form, had such huge seeds that you didn't get as much fruit. But they specifically bred bananas to have less and less seeds and smaller seeds to the point where you will typically no longer find seeds in bananas. But that creates a problem now because for a while, I don't know if this is still going on, but there was a disease killing off banana plants.
And you couldn't reproduce.
You can't reproduce.
That's what I was mentioning. Like they couldn't have any more. They couldn't have banana children.
Yeah,
that was what I was trying to reference earlier.
Yeah, that's
That's so weird.
We have done that. Strawberries.
True.
Strawberries have been specifically bred to become the strawberries that we know today. Because before, strawberries were nothing like what we have now.
Imagine giving a medieval peasant a banana. Did they die of the pesticides?
No, I think they'd
be like, oh.
They'd probably just eat it.
Giving the medieval.
If you gave a medieval peasant a banana, they have never seen a banana before in their life.
It's a mighty fine fruit you got there, mister.
So if you told them this is food, eat it, they'd probably just eat it. I doubt at that point in time, if you're told something's food, you're most likely just gonna eat it. that.
I want to go into the past now and give hobos and
I think up until like the end of the Renaissance, I don't think they put a lot of critical thinking into what they ate.
Yeah, I said probably even a little bit before that.
Well, I think the Renaissance is what brought that about.
Yeah.
But like typically ancient peoples did not put, or at least ancient European peoples did not put a lot of effort into what they ate. Probably prior to the Dark Ages they did. But Dark Age, medieval people.
That's even a touchy subject that in and of itself, like the whole like Dark Age thing, that's being like debated now again. Or it's been being debated, but now it's like, was it really technically dark, or is it just like I
think the reason it is considered the Dark Ages is because the Roman empires and a lot of societies before that had technologies that were extremely advanced that once those empires fell were gone for a long period of time. And with all the peasantry
they weren't being
and stuff,
used. I think that's in specific. That's
the knowledge was lost with the libraries being burned, so people didn't know how to even create that stuff. A majority of the people
didn't know, because that's another thing I hear. Like some places did use them, but they just never like, hey, other village or town, you should probably do this. They just kind of kept it in their, and I guess in their backyard. I guess that would probably.
Well, yeah, if the majority of the population doesn't know how to do something, then having that thing is not going to be as useful.
Yeah. I don't know. That was something I saw on Twitter the other day, and like historical Twitter was going crazy. I was like, oh damn, the nerds are going at it.
Well, now I guess since we've fully categorized everything into
on the history,
that makes sense. I do. This brings it back to that one thing that I want to look at is what was the typical diet like for somebody in the 1940s? I do kind of think about that sometimes because like the 1940s, that's 80 years ago. What were people eating 80 years ago? Is that any different than what we eat now?
Probably not.
How much has changed in 80 years?
I think it's just
how much has changed in 100 years? I kind of want to know.
Less greasy food.
What was the diet of worms in 1521? What was the diet of people?
I say it's probably the same, just less fast food. That's what I'd argue.
What did people eat?
Because that was like 80 years ago. So it's like
Jello salad, potato and hot dog salad.
I'm hearing a lot of salads.
You know, that is a thing. Meatloaf is not something that is eaten too often anymore, but I know back in the early 20th century, that was like the most known food being cooked. I feel like you say you?
I don't like meatloaf.
You don't like meatloaf?
No.
I think it's pretty good.
It's okay. Like, I'll eat it, but I'm not going to be like, yeah, let's eat meatloaf. I won't be enthusiastic.
I think it depends on who makes the meatloaf.
You know, that's what also people have heard, and I just don't care for anybody's meatloaf. Maybe I'm just a little bit hyper specific with my meatloaf, but I'm just not enthusiastic about it.
So
I'm just
from what I'm seeing, it just seems like meals in the 1940s
were just the same.
They're the same, just slightly simpler.
Yeah.
Just slightly simpler, because you just see...
We almost had a 2-hour-long podcast talking about food.
The article's possessed. Okay. So, what we learned, nothing's changed in 80 years.
Yeah.
We're still eating basically the same stuff. Some stuff's gone out of fashion. Yeah. Some stuff has been made since... I don't think cannibalism...
I was kind of looking at like 10,000 years of history, not the 80s, but that's the 80-year history.
Well, yeah, cannibalism's gone out of fashion. We've learned that it's bad for you. You can't eat people.
Is there certain foods we shouldn't eat? Like straight up, like put it in the same... Is there some foods we should put in the same classification as cannibalism as being absolute ass? That's a question.
I think cannibalism's bad for more reasons than just being
I know,
bad.
But just for funnies. I'm doing this for the bit. Because I genuinely think, like, pickles, I put them in the same category.
Pickles are delicious.
I don't like pickles.
There's nothing wrong with pickles. You just don't like them.
I put them next to Hitler.
There's nothing wrong with pickles. You just don't like them.
I put them next to Hitler.
You could almost put you in the category with Hitler because you're discriminating against a food.
Maybe.
No, in all seriousness though, I think there has been something that has been put in like a category of people shouldn't eat this, and that's trans fats, because it's been proven trans fats are bad for you. Horribly bad. Cancer causing bad.
Corn? Or like corn substitutes?
Like the corn byproducts are the ones that are bad for you. Yeah. Corn on its own, not
actually
terrible.
Surprisingly, controversial thing about corn, it's not even useful. Like the body doesn't know how to properly digest it. No. It's just cool to eat. No nutritional value. It's quite literally worthless.
It's the skins is the part that you can't digest. Yeah. The rest of it's good.
Yeah.
But like,
it's okay.
I think the thing with corn is like fresh corn, not like the corn byproducts. Fresh corn, I think it just has very good flavor, and it's something that complements a lot of different foods. Mm-hmm. So like, it's a very good complement to like starchy potatoes or like the meats on the side. Where especially if you cook it, it's a hot vegetable that stays crisp, unlike other vegetables that will typically get, when you cook it, they get soggy. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what the appeal of corn is. The corn byproduct, on the other hand, takes basically all the good stuff from corn and throws that in the garbage.
Okay, no, you're right. Definitely right. I don't think there's anything else.
I think 100% trans fats. They're not
next to cannibalism.
They're not coming back. That's pretty much as close to cannibalism as you can get, because it's unethical to feed people trans fats because it's bad.
Yeah.
And also eating it is causing your body harm. I'd almost argue below that tier, I'd say the way they make fast food now in a lot of restaurants should also be like, they need to go back to giving us actual food.
Yeah. Like and that just might be just because of the culture of places now with the whole like workaholic shit. Mm-hmm. How basically everything's been like ramped up.
Yep.
But like, that might be like a cultural thing you need to change, but
man, a cheeseburger sounds super delicious right now.
I'll see what my girlfriend does. I think I was gonna record today, but it's almost 3:00.
We spent 2 hours on food.
All right, we had it. I think we reached a solid conclusion
This
today.
is
When
a solid
it came to
conclusion.
foods.
We categorized food.
If anybody ever needs a clip on how this shit works, here you go.
There should be no more confusion.
Like, you don't even need to watch the whole episode. Just watch that like 40-minute segment, and it's just like, we got it done.
Yeah. There should honestly be no more confusion on what foods are considered different foods.
Yeah.
Because if you just look at the definitions, you'll know what kind of food fits into a different category.
And here's the thing. Here's what people are gonna probably do. It's gonna be like, well, no, just shut the fuck up.
There's no personal opinion.
Just you look up the definition.
There.
The definition of the food only matters. I don't care if it's like, well, man, like, what if I just no definition? And even if you slightly modify it, that's on your own shit. That's on your own time.
Here's the last thing I'll say, because I know people will say this, that strawberries are technically considered flowers by what they are.
That's a whole different discussion.
But at that point, they're the fruit of a flower. So therefore, it's still a fruit.
Technically, cashews are part of trees.
And true. Nuts, for the most part. Just look at the definitions of things and you'll know the answer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There you go.
There you go. There's your answers. Gotta pee. Any final comments other than you have to pee?
I might get ramen later.
I highly suggest that. It's delicious.
I will.
I don't know what I'm gonna eat later, but I'm definitely gonna eat because I'm starving.
Real.
Again.
Real.
So thanks for watching this week's episode. Sorry we didn't have the guest that we promised last week.
I think this is far more.
This is way better. You guys got a longer episode this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share the podcast.
Can I name this episode "Food Theory" or would we get copyrighted?
I think we might get copyrighted.
The food debate.
Food debate.
The great food debate.
Food fight.
No.
Hey.
And the episode after that joke. That was no, that was bad.
You're the one making jokes. I'm just.
You referenced food fights.
We're fighting, aren't we? We're debating.
Oh, were you not referencing the movie?
No.
Okay, never mind then. Never mind.
Food fighting's an actual thing. Yeah. Food fighting existed before the movie. Anyways, do all that stuff I told you to do because my authority should be number 1. Alex's authority is number 2. So
I just didn't want to be number 1 because it's too much work.
Peace out.